So, good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon to my guest, and good evening from me. This is the fifth of our Pixiecast, and today I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by cat lover, comedian, tape artist, and friend of the greatest band in the world, who are, of course, the Pixies. And it is, as you will see, the wonderful Kayt Hester. Kate, how are you?
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me on. This is going to be fun.
Oh,
I'm good.
Thank you for coming along. It's great. I feel really honoured for you to come along and spend a bit of time with you. So you're 5 hours behind us in Jersey, New Jersey, Jersey City.
Yes, it's 3 o'clock right now. I know time zones are so weird to me.
Yeah. Have you travelled out?
No, we're on like this circular rock, and the sun is not here; it's over here. It's just.
It's unless you're a flat earther, it's a weird concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you traveled outside of the States much or not?
Yes, back in the day, I have. I've been to Eastern Europe. One of my best friends from college is Serbian. Okay. So 1 year flights to Serbia were like $500. So we all went there, and it was,
wild.
A Serbian vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then from there I went to Dubrovnik, Croatia, which was amazing and heaven on earth. And then we went to Budapest.
Oh, beautiful!
And,
I've been to Budapest. Yeah.
Yes, and that was really nice. It's like it was the Eastern Europe. We had like one sunny day in Croatia, which made it all the more heavenly. But the rest of the time was like cold and rainy and Eastern European. And then I actually lived in the country of Jamaica for a short period.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in like a little hut in the woods. Yeah, no, I don't talk about it much because it ended up being a living nightmare.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
do you want to briefly explain why it was a nightmare?
Just 3 months of living without electricity and running water, and random men coming out of the woods to introduce them. It just wasn't as much of a good time as I really thought it was going to be. It ended up being like a survival for my fucking life every day. Yeah, I'm going to curse a lot. Is that okay? I'm sorry.
That's absolutely fine.
I don't know how much you know about
It's what we would expect. So.
Okay. Yeah, New Jersey people, we curse a lot, so
that's absolutely fine, no problem at all.
We're trashy.
So you're not heading back to Jamaica anytime soon, then?
I am never setting foot on that island again in my entire life.
Okay, right. Well, this wasn't at all how I intended to start our conversation.
Yeah, we went a weird direction, but that's okay.
We did. We went off course immediately, but that's great. That's absolutely fine. There may not be too much structure to the next 45 minutes or so. So it's Labor Day today. Happy Labor Day. Is that what I meant to say to Americans?
Yeah, you can say Happy Labor Day, sure.
And
we get the day off. I work for the government, so I get the day off.
Is that the best thing about Labor Day? Is it getting a day off, or is it a big celebration? I mean, it's not like Thanksgiving or anything like that.
No, it's not like 4th of July. You really just get the day off, and the banks are closed.
Right.
End of list. Yeah.
So what have you been doing with yourself today then? Just relaxing?
No, today I have a commission to complete. I'm here in the art studio, and here it is. I'm doing a cat portrait.
Lovely.
And there's my cat.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing.
So that's Harry that we just saw there.
Yes, that's Harold.
But he's not the subject of your commission, though.
No. No, I'm not paying myself to do a portrait of the cat.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions, actually. Do you ever sort of do pieces of your work just for your own enjoyment that you keep and never go on sale?
No.
Okay, fair enough. You're just in it for the money.
I'm in it for the money. No, there's I have a portrait of Alex that I will never sell. Sure. And there's a portrait of me and Alex and the cats that I'll probably never sell. And this portrait of the Pixies here,
I see it. Yeah.
I will never sell that either, but everybody has a price. You know what I'm saying? If someone wants to give me like $10,000 for it, I'm like, here you go, bye-bye.
Absolutely. And of course, that one's got Kim in it as well, hasn't it? So
yes.
Are you ever tempted to do one with Paz in?
Yeah, I would love to do one with Paz. I've had a whole bunch of, I have like little files on my laptop of like things I would like to do one day in the future. and I've got a whole slew of portraits of Paz. I mean, she is just perfect for masking tape. The long, dark features, dark features and black tape.
Right.
It's a good marriage.
Sure.
So that long, dark hair and those big, dark eyes and the big base. I mean, she's just perfect. She's perfect for it. I just haven't had time, and I'm actually taking a bit of a tape hiatus for the comedy, to focus on my comedy. But you know, I don't turn away commissions because I'm poor. So.
Sure. Well, we'll come on to your comedy later on as well. So far what we've spoken about was none of what I'd planned, which is fantastic. It's great.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm glad. No. I'm glad that you're not just sitting there with monosyllabic answers, but I knew that you wouldn't be. So, Kayt Hester, I've done the Happy Labor Day. I have to take my glasses off. I'm at that age now where I have to keep doing this. So.
It's okay.
Educated at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, correct?
Yes.
Where also other luminaries such as Calvin Klein and Michael Kors went.
Yes, it is.
As well.
It's one of the best schools you can possibly get into if you want to get into the fashion industry.
Very prestigious. Of course, Calvin Klein with all his jewelry and perfume and boxer shorts, and Michael Kors with his very expensive handbags, which my wife has a taste for. So.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, they were there a few years before you. So, but you started out as a photographer.
Yes.
And I believe you changed around about the time of 9/11. Was 9/11 a sort of catalyst for a change, or?
It was, because the economy was kablam mode, literally. I'm sorry if that's a tasteless joke, but
I don't understand it anyway. So is that an Americanism? It sounded like the sort of thing Batman would say.
Yeah, just taken down. Yes, Batman actually said it. So if you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at Batman. So it wasn't me. I didn't say it.
Okay.
So a lot of the photo studios started closing down because luxury items and such as fashion photography. It was also a weird time in photography because digital cameras were suddenly, around that time period, you can get a really good high-end digital camera for a decent price. So now every Tom, Dick, and Harry who could afford a decent camera was suddenly a photographer, and they're going to do it themselves, and they didn't need you. So a lot of it was like, oh, my brother, he took really great pictures of his kids. So we're going to take you and your entire education and your years of studying and get rid of you. And then my brother's going to do it for $50, you know? So a lot of that happened in correspondence with the studios closing. And also happening at that time, I was just burnt out. I was so burnt out. I had worked my ass off. I got into the industry when I was 18 years old. I painted a guy's house. Just as I was starting to go to FIT, I was painting houses, and I happened to paint the house of the guy who was in charge of a very popular clothing company's photo studio. So he hired me as an assistant. So I started like working my ass off in a real photo studio in New York City when I was like 18. And then not 18, like late 1920, like 20 years old, I guess. Sure. And then I worked my ass off all my 20s. Like I missed my 20s. My 20s were gone. I was working 80-hour weeks my entire 20s. Jeez. And
that's not good.
So it wasn't
when you
good.
Should be enjoying yourself.
I should have been enjoying myself. So right around like when my early 30s happened, when like 9, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And like I had the luxury of being married to a guy who also made money. So I was like, I'm going to quit my career and I'm going to go just ring a cash register for fun until I figure out what's next. Sure. You know? And then of course, it took forever for something to come next. And we got divorced. So I got stuck behind that cash register for a very long time. Yeah. So, you know, live and learn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what life is. It's a cliche to say, but it's a journey, isn't it? So,
yes.
And then you moved on to tape work. Now, before I knew of you, I'd never been aware of tape work. Are there many other artists in that field?
There are tape artists. If you go on Instagram and look up hashtag tape art or tape artist, you're going to find some stuff. Right. But I do think I was one of the like founders of the movement. Like,
and was it something that you were interested in anyway, and you'd sort of dabbled in before it sort of became a second career for you, or were you just
I
like
just
playing
kind of
around with
felt,
it?
yeah, I just played around with it, and then I ended up getting a show, and then I ended up selling stuff, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing now, you know?
Cool. And where does your inspiration for your work come from? Is it really just all commissions, or have you just come up with ideas and then you found that you've been able to sell them over the years?
Well, lately, in the beginning, it was, you know, I would run around and take my own pictures and then turn those into tape pieces. And most of my huge inspirations come from fashion. I still love fashion. I love the absurdity of it. I love the escapism of it. I love the beauty of it. It's absurd. It's, you know, ridiculous people who don't look like that wearing ridiculous outfits you'll never be able to afford to buy.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's an escape from, I love it. I love it. So in the early days when I was just making pieces for fun and getting art shows with it, it was a lot of my inspiration comes from fashion and that type of thing. Fashion magazines and, you know, beautiful clothes on ridiculously unrealistic looking women, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then as, you know, time goes by, you do commissions out of financial necessity, at least me. Like, nobody wants to sit down and do a piece that I didn't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, you did this, you know, picture of my dog within the park. It's like, oh, okay, sure, I'll do it because I have to pay the phone bill. But it's not like, yeah, I'm dying to do that picture of your kid in the pool. Like, yeah.
And make them look like they really look like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you do the commissions to pay the bills,
Sure.
and you do the whatever strikes you fancy, which for me it was like artwork and stuff like that. I mean, fashion, blah, blah, blah.
So I was looking on your website today, and I saw, looking through your work, and I noticed there were 2 or 3 pieces of work there that were obviously inspired by To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
And particularly Scout was on there.
Yeah.
Was she a literary heroine of yours as a child?
Yes. Well, I love that movie. I love that movie.
It's my favorite book. It was one of the
Yes.
books we did in English literature at school.
Yes.
over
I
here.
love the book. I love the movie. Yeah. I love To Kill a Mockingbird. And my father used to always compare me to her when I was a kid. Whatever.
Well, I was going to say, is there a bit of you in her personality, would you say?
I think as a kid, there definitely was. But
Yeah.
I would hope that Scout would not grow up to be such a jaded asshole like I have.
You're being way too hard on yourself.
Yeah, Scout's gone from, Boo Radley, is that you? To like, hey, yeah, fuck you. What are you looking at, asshole? Yeah. You know. Hopefully Scout's not a raging jerk off like myself.
I'm sure if they remade the film, then she probably would be using language like that these days. So
yeah,
we don't care about it. So, yeah.
Maybe she's a Trump supporter. Things happen in life.
Oh dear, no, Don't go there.
Things happen in life.
She's one of my literary heroines as well. So please don't go down that road.
I'm sure she's a saint. She works with children in need. Yes, we'll go there. We'll end there.
Okay, so going on to obviously your connection with the Pixies, and a couple of people who I spoke to. I let our lovely Pixie White know that I was going to be speaking to you. Of course, she was my first guest on the first Pixiecast that I did, and she would like to know how it felt when Charles came to see her Pixies art, and how did he find out about your work?
Okay. Well, obviously, I'm a huge Pixies fan. I have been since I first heard them. My best friend's older brother was this cool guy, you know, and he went to art school. He went to SVA in the city, which is where, you know, I really wanted to go, but they were just way too expensive and they didn't have dorms. So I would have had to get my own apartment. And my dad was like, no. So, he would come home on the weekends and introduce us to all things cool in the world. And this was like 1989. So I was a freshman in high school. So he introduced me to like the Talking Heads, like the Butthole Surfers, and the Pixies. The Pixies was one of them.
Yep.
So he put on that double album, the Surfer Rosa Come On Pilgrim double album. And that first, dun, 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 when Bone Machine starts, I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this? And it changed everything. It changed everything. Because before that, all I ever listened to was In Excess and Depeche Mode.
Okay.
Like they went right out the window. No, from now on, if I didn't have like Charles screaming in my brain with guitars and, it changed everything. I was like, Depeche Mode. Like, what am I, on my period? I don't need to listen to Depeche Mode, So immediately.
Well, I still listen to Depeche Mode, so I don't know what that says about me, but
So suddenly Depeche Mode was just way too wimpy for me. And In Excess too. I was like, whatever, Michael Hutchence, get back in front of the mirror. Okay, pretty boy. Like,
he was a good looking lad though.
Yes, he certainly was. I had posters of him all over my wall. But again, the Pixies rendered them useless to me. I mean, now as an adult, I'm like, holy shit, In Excess was an amazing band, So I did have decent taste as a sixth grader. Sure. But so yeah, I became immediately obsessed with all things Pixies from there on out. So probably it was about 9 years ago that I was offered a show at a really good local gallery. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? And I was like, I've always wanted to do something with like Pixie songs, So I started planning it out. I was like, what songs have the best visuals? Of course, like Tame, like the whole Bathsheba story. Of course, Wave of Mutilation. Like all their songs are like stories that can be so easily illustrated that it just kind of flowed out,
Sure.
So I created, that was probably the best show I have had and ever will have. Like, I'll never outdo that show ever again.
Oh, come on.
The gallery.
You can't say that. You can't say you've peaked already.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But that show, and that was 9 years ago. I mean, I've had good shows since, but that show changed my life.
Sure.
That show changed everything.
Yeah.
So what happened was...
It's why you're talking to me now. So,
yes, I know. Here we go.
Doesn't get much better than that.
I know. This is it. Now I'm peaking. Now this is the peak,
It's all downhill now.
No, yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I ended up getting a write-up in a very well-known magazine in the United States for women. It's called Bust Magazine, about the show. And that was exciting. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to write up at Bust Magazine. Like, so that was it. I was ready to be completely just happy with that and just live my life out, like, cool. Oh my God, my artwork got in Bust. Holy shit. Like, I'm a real artist now, And then the next thing I know, yeah, I'm getting this email. Yeah, I was amazed. I'm getting this email from this guy named Sean Rayburn.
Okay. A name that we know well. Yeah.
Yes. And he's like, hey, I work for the Pixies and I have a Google alert for anything that says Pixies tribute because he produced the tribute records.
Yeah.
So, and he was like, we'd love to hear more about this show you're doing. I was just like, what? Like, I was like,
is this a wind up?
What? Yeah. Now this is my art studio. There's a door, like with the pics. There's the door. So my bedroom is right on the other side of that door. So it was like, it was still like 9 a.m. and Alex was still sleeping. So I think I don't remember much, but I think I just started screaming. I think
like
I just started screaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Alex was like, what is it? What is it? I'm like, some of them, the Pixies just reached out to me and fucking wants to hear more about my artwork. And he was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And of course it took me like, it was the day of the show. So I'm like worrying about my hair, I'm worried about my makeup. What am I going to wear? Blah, 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 blah. And so now I'm taking 3 hours to write back to Sean Rayburn, right? Because I'm like, what do I say? What if I say something wrong? What if I say something that turns him off? What if I sound like an asshole? What if I look like an asshole? What if oh my God, how am I going to answer this email? Because that's how I operate.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't seem too desperate, but I don't want to seem too cool, because which I recently did.
Right.
Yeah, which I recently did with a comic that got in touch with me and was like, I think you're funny. I'd love for you to open for me when I come to New York. And I was like, okay, well, and I played it too cool and they thought I was an asshole. So there that went. So you got to play shit cool when you do this. You got to know how to respond. So I wrote back. I was like, holy shit. Yes, you know, here's pictures, here's images of all the stuff. Here's where the show is. I would love, you know, they all live in New England, so, or California. As Charles was actually living in, I think, Oregon or something like that, or California, and he was in the process of moving back. Like his stuff was on the way, but he wasn't quite here yet. So, but they were coming to New Jersey in a month to play Asbury Park with the Doolittle reunion tour.
Yeah, sure.
They were going to come back and play the Doolittle album and whatever. So I was like, well, here's everything you need to know about me, and here's everything you need to know about the show. And I thoughtfully worded that out for like the whole fucking day, you know? And so he comes back with like a day or so later, like, well, I forwarded your email to the band and they all love your stuff. And when we come to New Jersey, everyone wants to meet you and say hello, and you could come backstage and meet the band and talk about your artwork and all this stuff. Wow. So I was just like, holy shit. I think, yeah. So that was that. I'm like, okay, I could, you know, like, holy fucking shit balls. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, that doesn't happen.
No, I know what you mean.
Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that was it for me. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And apparently Miles went to the show to see it because he lives right across the river.
Yeah.
So Miles came to see the show, but I didn't know that. And I wish I had known. I wish I could have gone and met him. For people who are, Miles has been doing their lighting for 30 years for anyone watching who doesn't know.
Yeah.
So just to have the guy, just to have met Miles would have been something special. Like, oh my God, I got to meet the guy that does the lighting.
I've met Miles as well a couple of times when they've been over the UK, but he's like a lovely guy.
The most loveliest, sweetest, smartest, most interesting person you could ever meet.
He is.
So great. So that was good. Miles went to see the show, but I wasn't there when he was there, so whatever. But yeah, the show ended up being a big hit. And I ended up being very good friends with Miles all these years, and Sean, who's reached out to me. So, you know, none of the band could go see the show, which of course, you know, Joey lives in California and Kim is Kim. She's not a social person.
Sure.
And I think David is in California. So the band obviously wasn't going to come to Jersey City, New Jersey to see the fucking art show. But they got to see pictures, and I made them all little books. So when I got to meet them, I gave them all a little book with the thing.
Yeah.
So the show comes, and you know, I met up with Sean ahead of time, and you know, he takes me back there, and I'm meeting them before the show, and not after the show. And Charles was stuck in traffic, so he wasn't there. Kim was not coming out of her bus.
Okay.
So that's fine. And David was sound asleep on the couch while Joey was sitting there practicing and tuning his guitars for the show.
Right.
And I walk in and Joey was like, oh, hey, David, wake up. That tape art girl is here. And Dave was like, oh, what, who? And I was like, oh
no.
I felt terrible. I was like, yeah hi. I know you're exhausted from being on the road, and here you are getting a nice nap in before you go work your body into the ground for the next 2 hours straight.
And you're meeting two of your heroes, and it's all a bit awkward. Yeah.
It was definitely a little awkward, but they could not have been fucking nicer. The nicest guys in the world. They're like, oh no, come sit down. How are you? What's going on? Tell us about your day. Like, it was like, you know, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. You know, they were nice enough to take pictures with me and all that stuff. And so then I left, and I was like, okay, well, that's that. It's not exactly how I pictured in my head. I felt terrible. David, wake up. The tape art girl's here.
And you didn't get to meet Charles or Kim that first time, then?
No, I never met Kim.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is fine. You know, she doesn't have to fucking meet anybody she doesn't want to meet. You know, she was minding her own business in her bus, and the touring was very stressful for her and all that stuff, and the whole reunion and all these expectations of all the stupid media being like, are they going to be fighting? Are they? Because everyone just loved that shit, which wasn't really that as terrible as they made that all out to be. Everyone loved each other very much. But anyway, so I was like, okay, well, that's cool, and I got to hang out. I hung out with Miles and Sean the most, and we had a great time. So it was a great night, So then it was like, and Charles got in touch with me, and he was like, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm so sorry. And I was like, hey, man, it's cool. What am I going to be like? Whatever, jerk. I was like, oh, my God, no, the fact that you've even looked at my artwork and had nice things to say about it. I'm good, dude. Yeah. I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time to look at my artwork and to reach out to me about it. Because I had no idea he was a painter and that he was really into art. Because you don't know that stuff about him until recently. But back then, no one knew Charles was super into painting. I knew he was into science fiction and end of list,
sure.
So a couple months later, I get this phone call, and it's a number I don't recognize, but it's from the little town that he lived in. Oh. And I was like, why am I getting a fucking unknown phone call from the same exact town that he lives in? So I was like, hello?
See, and I hear
the most familiar voice ever. I only answered it because it was from that town.
Sure. Okay.
And I was like, hello? And I hear the most familiar voice that's been getting pumped into my brain for what? How many years? 1989 is like, hi, Kate. Yeah, this is Charles. I got your number from Sean. I hope that's okay. And I was just like, yeah, it's okay. What's up? And he's like, yeah, like, oh my God, because again, you got to try to be cool. Like, because if you act and look like a psychopath, they're not going to want anything to do with you. So, which is difficult because I am a psychopath. So I have
I did wonder, but that was going to be a question later on.
Person. Yeah. So he's like, look, I'm doing my solo tour with my friend Reed, and we're going to be in Hoboken, and I think you live right near there, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, I was like, it's walking distance, actually. He's like, well, I want to swing by and check out your art studio. And I was just like,
holy shit.
Okay, sure. I was like, when? He was like 2 weeks from now. I was like, okay, well, that'll give me 2 weeks to have massive diarrhea every day and clean the house like a crazy person and scream at Alex.
Cool.
Yeah. So, because my nerves, I'm a very nervous, hyper person.
Okay.
So that was, I was like, okay, sure. Come on over. We'll hang out. We'll talk. We'll do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. Whatever. So the day approaches, and the weather's disgusting. It's like February. There's like 3 feet of snow on the ground, and it's terrible and whatever. And for some reason in Jersey City, New Jersey, when it snows, people don't pick up their dog shit. I don't know why. If they think that snow disintegrates dog shit, it doesn't. It just gets buried by more snow.
Nice.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, of course, the day before Charles arrives, we have like one of those fluke New Jersey weather, 73-degree days where all the snow melts. So my whole street
it's just piles
is
of dog
just
shit.
Piles upon piles of dog shit. So I'm like, oh my God, fucking Black Francis is going to pull up to my house and step in dog shit. And he's going to be so pissed that he's just going to get back in his car and drive away. And he's going to be like, I'm never coming to Jersey City, New Jersey again. You people are animals.
He'd probably write a song about it.
Yeah. So I, of course, get a garbage bag and walk the whole block. Because I'm like, but what if he parks in this block? He might park on this block. What if he parks a block over? Like, I didn't want him seeing any dog shit. Right? Meanwhile, he doesn't know this story. He's gotten bits and pieces of it, but he really just doesn't. I don't think he really wants to hear it.
Okay.
So I got a garbage bag and a shovel, and I literally picked up like 4 pounds of dog shit that like the day before.
That's
like,
a lot of dog
shit. I picked up every turd I saw on the sidewalk and for wherever. And luckily there was a spot right in front of my house that he pulled his minivan up to, because he has kids. Like, he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
So he pulls the minivan up, gets out, there's no dog shit. But now I have obsessively cleaned my house like a fucking crazy person all week coming up to this. Because, Alex and I are, well, I'm a neat freak, but Alex is not. So in order for us to live a happy relationship, I've had to let go of a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
Like, whatever. You want a clean house, or you want a man who treats you decently? Choice is yours. So I've let that go. So now I'm cleaning the house like a fucking crazy person while screaming at him not to fuck it up, like all week long. So I've got these wooden stairs. I don't know if you can see over here. And there's a staircase that leads up to my art studio, and they're wood. And so I decided that they needed to be polished. They needed to be shining and sparkling, right? Like, who gives a shit? Charles, who does not give a shit about that, but I'm a crazy person. So I get wood polish, and I polish my stairs, thus turning them into a slippery deathscape. Like, every time Alex and I are going up and down the stairs now, we're falling on our ass, and we're falling down the stairs because I've now turned it into essentially a ski slope. So now I have to unpolish the stairs. Like, this is just, so I've got shoes on my hands, shoes on my feet, and I'm like unpolishing the stairs so that I do not break Black Francis's back when he comes to visit my art studio. This is a whole thing. So that's like just a funny story. And then of course the day comes.
And
Sean
obviously he
comes
didn't break
first.
his neck.
No, thank God.
God. Yeah.
Sean arrives first because Charles wanted it to be filmed, because he wanted to turn it into like a little documentary or something. Of course, everyone's busy and has kids and life, so it never turned into anything, but somewhere out there, this is all on film somewhere. So Sean comes over first with his film equipment and stuff like that, because they have Sean film a lot of their shows, and he does a lot of their stuff for them. So Sean comes over and he's setting up his equipment, and Charles is due any minute now. And of course, my stomach is just like, oh, Kate, by the way, in case you haven't heard, Black Francis is coming to your fucking house. So I, of course, start throwing up.
Go.
I'm like, I turn green. Sean looks at me. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, dude. I'm about to fucking, I have to go barf. So now I'm in the bathroom with the door closed. He's due at my house any minute now. I'm throwing up. Sean's in the kitchen like, are you okay in there? Like, I'm okay. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll be out 5 minutes, because I'm a crazy person. So I pull it together, wash my face. He shows up and he's just like, hi, how's it going? And I was just immediately at ease. I just his demeanor and his vibe and his is just reaping with like just niceness, normalness, and kindness. Sure. I just felt immediately better. And I was just like, hi, how are you? And he comes in and he goes, I thought your house would smell like cats. And then he goes, it doesn't. And I said, well, thank fucking God. Yeah. And then we came upstairs and we hung out here and everything was great. It was just like hanging out like you and me now.
Yeah.
Totally normal, wonderful. And that was 9 years ago. And they haven't tuned into what a crazy person I am yet. So I still get to be their friends. And whenever he's in town, he swings by, and it's
fab.
Some sort of bizarre gift that the universe decided to give me I think it was because my mom was drunk all the time.
Well, these things,
I got that. Yeah.
We all get lucky breaks from time to time in life, don't we? So, and that was clearly one of yours. So,
I guess, yeah.
So I'm going to ask you now for your favorite Pixies track, if you can possibly pick one out.
Planet of Sound. Planet of Sound. Yeah.
Straight in there, Planet of Sound.
Yep, Planet of Sound. I
Okay.
love that song. And when I need to get like hyped up for something, it's there for me. When I'm pissed off about something, it's there for me. Definitely Planet of Sound, no question. Trompe le Monde, I think, is their lowest rated album and is full of most of my favorite songs from them. Just the opening track of that song, it's just, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Motorway to Roswell as well is one of my favorites.
Yes.
A great,
it's beautiful. They write the most beautifully written rock songs ever. They're like, each one is just a composition. It's not just like a bunch of assholes in the garage. Like, it's so much going on.
Absolutely. So coming back to the artistic side of the band, and of course the work of Vaughan Oliver, sadly no longer with us, died at the tail end of last year. How do you feel about his artwork and the marriage with the Pixies music and the image of the band? That was a question from Adam Short, I should say.
Oh, okay. Hi, Adam.
As well. So he wanted to.
That was, well, he's amazing. And Simon, the photographer he works with, is also a huge reason why I went to art school. Like Vaughan Oliver and Simon Labaster, I've never known how to say his last name correctly.
That's close enough.
But they were both huge reasons why I got into photography and art school. Like the Trompe le Monde album, those are like cow's eyes, and that was so beautiful, and I was so disgusting, and that really changed the way I started doing photos. I wanted to make them like not your average beauty picture, but I would try to throw something a little gruesome or disgusting in there as well, which was very early 90s. Give me a break. It was 1992. Come on.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's like, oh, she's wearing a meat necklace. Oh, how edgy. Yeah. But you know what? In 1992, it kind of was. So.
And Lady Gaga thought that she was cutting edge.
Yes, exactly. But Vaughan Oliver actually reached out to me once to tell me how much he loved my work, and that was a huge deal. And he didn't have to do that. Like, that's the thing about this whole group. Everybody, the Pixies themselves and the people associated with the Pixies, they do all this stuff that they don't have to do. Like, Vaughan Oliver didn't have to take 2 minutes to write me a nice little message about how much he liked my artwork, but he knew that was going to make my fucking year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he didn't have to do that. And that's the same with like Sean Rayburn and Miles and all the staff, and Simon, the touring guy. They reach out to you with these little chunks of kindness that none of them ever had to do. They're just such an amazing group of people.
My lovely wife's just bringing me a drink in.
Hi.
That's Jordan's hand.
Yes.
Can you pick Harley up, because Kate is a big cat fan. We're going to show you Harley.
Yeah, let's see Harley. Oh, hi.
Harley is not the most.
He's handsome.
He's a handsome boy, yeah, but he's not the most social of cats.
All right, settle down.
Oh, hi, bud. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you both.
Harley.
Hi. Oh, he's so handsome. He's charcoal gray.
Yeah, he's a very handsome boy. He's quite chatty sometimes. About 4 o'clock in the morning when he comes.
I'm Mr. Meowie. Yes.
Yeah.
Why always at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I know. Yeah.
This one too. Oh, here he's sitting up now.
Yeah, so that's Harley. He was a rescue cat, but he didn't have a bad life. I think he just gave the kids and the family, he just gave them hay fever, so they decided to get rid of him. And when we adopted him, he was called Biscuits, which has to be one of the worst names ever, I think, for a cat, isn't it? Biscuits.
Yeah, there's people out there who have no business naming cats.
I know, and my wife is a bit of a trainee mad cat woman as well, so she was worried about going out into the street shouting biscuits every night when he didn't come home on time. So we quickly had to change his name to Harley, something a bit more sensible.
Yes, exactly.
But no, you're absolutely right about the Pixies family and the groups, obviously, that so many of us have been beneficiary of, that Pixie set up as well, the Facebook groups, and that we've all been able to develop some life-lasting, hopefully, friendships and meet people from all over the world and travel to see Pixies when we're not in lockdown and this strange world that we're in at the minute. But Yeah, it is something very, very special. Certainly. So Vaughan Oliver, big influence on you then?
Yes.
Who else is artistically is a influence for you?
Well, it's mostly a lot of fashion photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not, it's fine. I always feel like I'm disappointing people, like, with how little depth I actually contain as a person.
So it's not Monet or Rembrandt or anyone like that.
No, I'm never like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
Patrick Desmarchier, who shot for Harper's Bazaar magazine. Like, I'm,
Okay.
that type of thing. And
Sure.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Great. Okay. So Charles' solo work. Are you a fan of his solo work?
Very much so.
Yeah. Favorite album?
The Golem.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
favorite track that you can of his solo work?
Bad
Most
News.
people have gone something from Teenager or from Frank Black, but sorry, I was talking over the top of you.
No, it's okay. Yeah, well, those albums are just so amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, from start to finish. Like,
yeah.
And like they're just fantastic for road trips and blah blah blah. But like the Golem is, a winter's day. You put your turtleneck on, you're drinking your tea and looking at the stark gray trees blowing in the snow. It's so like the Golem and the whole thing. And I ordered the DVD of the Golem to watch it along with the album.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I had no idea about, I thought I had an idea of what some of the songs were, but when you watch it with the movie, it changes everything. So they're quite literal.
Yeah.
They're quite literal. Like the song, like, bad news, it's all I bring to you. Like, I'm thinking it's like a couple or a person where the one person's always just like,
I think that's what I've been saying over the last couple of these podcasts, and that their music, Charles' music, and it's very cinematic, isn't it? It does.
Yes.
It's the kind of music that does sort of conjure up images in your head, I think, when you're listening to it.
It's an illustrator's dream.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So yeah, and no, it's like it was all super literal. Like he's literally like singing scenes from the movie, and but before I saw the movie, I was like putting all this meaning to it. I'm like, oh yeah, this reminds me of the time my ex and I were going through that stuff too, and really no, it's about the old guy
Happy
comes
memories.
in. Yeah.
So is there a particular track from that album then that you would like to choose?
Yes, the one, the something in the stars says that we are through, which is literally an astrologer seeing the end of the world, but I'm of course seeing it as like the end of a love relationship, but yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So, and I listened to that song a lot when Trump won because I was so depressed. It's like,
Weren't we all? And I don't even live in your country. And
I'd move there to you guys, but it's too gray over there.
Oh, I'm moving out of the UK as well because it's getting horrible over here as well. So with Brexit and Boris and anyway, it's a bit of a shit shower over here as well. But we're not here to talk about politics.
Yeah.
As much as we could talk all night, I suspect. So there we go. So of course you got the wonderful adulation and commission, I guess, from the band to do the artwork for Caribou for
yes,
25th anniversary of Surfer Rosa and Come On Pilgrim, the tour.
Oh yeah, I have here. Hold on, I have them all right here, Miles. Because Miles does all their visuals, and he was like, I need you to tape out some lyrics in your styles, and I was like, okay, no problem. So let's see. Get out of the way. All right, so here we have, I have them all. I keep meaning to like varnish them. Come On Pilgrim. This is like kids' flashcards.
No, of course. I mean, I saw these. I went to that tour at the Roundhouse in London, so we saw all these. Yes,
there we go. These are how I did it. Oh, this one's my favorite. I'm one happy prick. That's PRI. Yeah, there we go.
I don't remember seeing that one. Was that in the show? I don't remember.
No, they didn't use these though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Yeah. Okay.
I know, right? I'm like,
Cool.
yeah. So I got them all right here. He didn't use them all, but I wanted him to have as many as he wanted.
So they came to
I
you,
got a
did
whole
they,
stack.
for this work? You didn't have to do a pitch for them or anything. They just rang you up and
No.
said,
There's no pitches. They know who and what they want. I think
yeah.
way in advance,
Yeah.
or at least Miles conjures up all the stuff in his head, and he knows what he wants in advance, and he goes to that person.
And you went to the show near to your home when they were on tour doing that tour, and
in
saw
Brooklyn,
all your artwork up there.
I did. And the way they presented it, I have it on my YouTube. If you look up Kayt Hester on YouTube, I have their opening song. They used it as the opening song.
Yeah.
And with the violin that Joey and Paz did, the opening, and then the way it all comes up, it was heavy. It was a heavy fucking moment for me.
Must have been.
And I just started like ugly crying, like deep sobbing, like like ugly sobbing. Like, dudes, people around me were like, okay, just was scared.
Yep.
Scared to keep an eye on this one. You know, I mean, I was also 3 margaritas deep, but I know it was a heavy duty moment. And you know what? The security guards were fucking sweethearts to me, because in order for me to get the best vantage point to film it, it was like the super special, fancy dancy press only area.
Yeah.
You know, like where the guys from Rolling Stones get to go. So like, that's not me. So the guy was like, "What's up?" And I was like, I did this artwork. And he was just like, "Oh, you want to go in there? You can go in there." And so he let me in the special section. And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you so much." I was a mess. And then I had to, pull it together by the end of the show. So, but I was just, I'll never stop being grateful for that opportunity.
It was amazing. I mean, I think it was emotional for us guys. You knew a little bit about your work and knew who you were a little bit as well, to see that up on stage in London as well. It was a special moment, certainly. And
it was.
Did you actually enjoy the show after that?
I don't even remember. Together? No, of course it was beautiful. The whole show was beautiful because Miles had a bunch of different artists doing stuff for different songs. And I got the opening song, and then my lyrics were throughout the show, but then he had these other like really brilliant unknown artists who do other songs, and they were beautiful. And plus Miles filmed some stuff on his own, which, everything he does is really good. So the show was gorgeous, and the music was perfect, and it was all amazing.
And an after show party?
Yes, and an after show party was good. It's always fun to hang out with them. They like to have a good time. I know. I don't know I think everyone's clean. Like, even I'm not drinking as much as I was, but when this show came out, we were all still drinking. So we had a good time.
You need a release, don't you, of some sort? So.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys are, they're family guys. They're not like looking to pick up chicks, and there's no coke and there's no drugs. There's not even like weed going on, really. It's just, and they'll hang out for like a half hour or so, and then they just want to go to bed. Like it's exhausting. Touring is exhausting. Performing is exhausting. Just knowing that as a comedian now, doing just my 5 to 10 minute bit in front of people afterwards, I'm exhausted, because it is absolutely nerve-wracking to be up there in front of, I mean, I don't know if their nerves are racked after 30 years of doing this, but
I don't think you ever really, I mean, I do a bit of broadcasting over here, sports broadcasting, and that on my local team, Exeter City, on the radio and that as well. And I'm always exhausted after 90 minutes of commentating on a football match as well, especially if it's an exciting game.
There you go.
It just gets the adrenaline going, doesn't it? So, so a fantastic experience.
Yeah, that's what it is, I guess. All your adrenaline comes out, and then it's gone, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But so, it's an amazing experience, and they treat me so well. They treat me so well, and I'm very lucky, and I'm constantly like, also a part of me is like, when is this going to get taken away from me? Like,
Yeah.
when is this going to end? When am I going to say something wrong? You know,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
or when am I going to piss somebody off? And then they're like, we don't ever want to see her fucking face again. Like, cause that, you know, I worry about that. Like, I'm going to ruin this somehow. But it's been 9 years. It's been 9 years. I haven't ruined it yet. You know.
I think you're pretty well ensconced there in the family. So
yeah,
you should be okay.
You have to, I've learned to control. When I first met them, and it was all still brand new, I would find myself, you know, because, or when Kim left the bands, she left because she no longer wanted to do it.
You're ending the conspiracy theories.
I would find myself online, like I was their lawyer. They'd be like, oh, what a bunch of assholes. I'd be like, fuck you and your mother. You don't know them. They're the nicest people in the world. I'm going to find out where you live. I'm going to fucking kill you. You know? So I don't do that stuff anymore.
Whilst playing Tame in the background while you're ripping their head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got it all sorted out.
Whenever they come out with anything new, I don't look at the internet stuff about it, because you got all the no deal, no Kim, no deal.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Okay, asshole. You know, like, what, you are an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to, like, it's so tempting to go to bat with anybody who says anything bad about the Pixies. And it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah. You get to an age where, you know, things like that don't matter anymore, do they? You know?
Yeah. You know, it's like some guy in a stained plaid shirt and a beard in his mom's basement knows everything about everything, and he's on the internet with his opinion. You know,
and it's not like Debaser, is it, or whatever that kind of thing that they come out with. Yeah. I sense you've met a few of these guys over the years.
Probably, but not in real life. I've had nobody try to argue with me. Oh yeah, my one ex-boyfriend, he loves to get a rise out of me with that shit. We're still good friends, and he lives like 2 minutes away. So I bump into him all the time, and he's always just like, oh, Kim's better than Paz. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Sean. Go walk your dog, okay? So.
So, moving on to Frank Black and the Catholics. Are you a fan of that period of his work as well?
Absolutely. Which is funny, because I was not at first. Also, but there was a lot of shit going on in my life when his first album, when Dog in the Sand, came out. Mm-hmm. I was in the process of getting a divorce and moving to a hut into the woods of Jamaica.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So it took me years to get around to them. And by the time I got around to them, they had like 3 or 4 albums out. And I was like, all right, I guess, you know, now that I'm back in the States, I'm settled, I'm
Jamaica.
I'm in a spot in my life where I can return to this and give it a chance. Because it was so different for him. It was just not the same sound. And, you know, I'm looking for, you're looking for his first 2 solo albums, which were so much fun. They were like a roller coaster ride, those CDs. And then, you know, Cult of Ray was not my favorite at first, but it grew on me over the years. So now I see it as not his 3rd album, but just a weird little project he did. Like, because that's what you have to learn about him, is that he goes through these phases and does these little projects, and it's not always going to be exactly the same. It's whatever you do and knock it off. Get down. You see, he's looking for attention now. He's like, what can I eat? What art products can I eat? You know what? Just eat it. Anyway, so it took me some years to get into the Catholics. And I even saw them. I saw them at one point too. And, but again, I was going through all this shit, and I wasn't really enjoying it. Plus, I hate crowds. I hate
unless they're watching you when you're doing comedy.
Sure. I'm sorry, hold on one second.
Fine.
What are you doing? Get I don't have money. I don't have money for a vet bill right now because he's looking to eat shit. So anyway, yeah, it took me some years to get around to the Catholics. But once I did, but I definitely got into them. My mind is drawing a blank right now. Oh, Black Letter Days is my fucking favorite. Black Letter Days is amazing.
So that would be your choice then, yeah, for a Catholics?
Yeah. 20 minutes later, yes.
I don't think I'd actually got around to asking you, so that's fine. That's no worries about that at all. We've got to mention about cats. Cats play a big part in your life, I think it's fair to say.
They do.
I used to love your tales of when you were working in the cat rehoming supermarket or whatever it was.
It was a pet supply store, and we did cat adoptions out of there.
Yeah.
And and that job was mostly fucking terrible.
It sounded it, yeah.
But the cats were great. Loved working with the cats. So.
And how long were you there for?
7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like being a part of a sitcom, reading it on Facebook about your days there. And,
it was
your frustration, your clear love for the cats, but maybe not so much for the owner.
Yeah. But that job had a lot of good parts. Like part of it was, it was like, it's in the little downtown heart of my city. So I got to meet and know hundreds of people. Like I became a big part of the community. And I just got to know people I would probably never get to know. I got to, I was there for them with the adoption of a new pet. I was there for them when a pet died. Like, so a lot of people I would have not normally had access to became like a big part of my life. And that was an amazing part about that job.
And you've got tattoos of your of Harry, who's still around. Pixie, sadly, not around with us anymore.
Yes, Pixie passed away. But here, let's see. Look, I do have a Pixies tattoo. I got the pig.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we have Pixie the cat.
Yeah.
And then Harry's back here. And then this is my old girl, Phoebe.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So they're all still with you?
No. Well, yes.
No,
the tattoos, yes.
In memory, I mean. Yeah, not physically.
Yes. No, I just have one asshole now. Well, because he hates all other cats, so he won't let me get another, which I guess is a good thing because I probably have 20 of them by now. Let's face it.
That's what I worry about that with Jordan as well. So at the moment we've just got Tilly, who's actually smaller than Harley, who you met. Tilly's a tiny little papillon dog, and Harley, who's bigger than her. And like you said earlier on, he's quite muscly, quite strong cat. So yeah. He's the dominant one.
Yeah,
certainly.
He did look like a little meathead.
Yeah. I think he looks after himself. We don't hear too much, but he's known around the neighborhood, certainly.
Oh, tough guy. Yeah, you guys let your cats out over there. All my British friends are like, oh, the cat's having tea in the garden with his friends.
Is that not a thing in the States then?
No, we keep them inside.
Oh,
at least it's heavily encouraged to keep them inside. There are some people like, look, if you live in the middle of nowhere and there's no roads, let your cats out. They're going to get diseases. They're going to get eaten by something. They might never come back. But there's also, we're battling with the Audubon people. The bird people are saying that the cats are killing all the birds, which they have been since the dawn of time. Like
it's nature.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Like, really, you're overlooking like global warming and construction. Like, if I go for a walk at the waterfront with all those glass buildings, there's dead songbirds all over the place because they're hitting the windows.
Yeah.
I'm like, really gonna wage war on cats? Like, there's bird groups that want like all outdoor cats killed. Like, it's crazy. It's wacky. So yeah, no, we don't let cats out. I mean, I have a bunch of outside cats, but they came with the place. They're strays.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I didn't like put them out there. They were there when I got here.
So you've recently started up what hopefully will be a blossoming career in comedy.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you want to do that?
I ask myself that question every time. Why am I doing this to myself?
You've got to have some serious balls to stand up in front of people and say, I'm going to make you laugh.
Well, I've been a comedic writer for years and years and years and years. And I've always wanted to do stand-up. Like when I watch a stand-up special, I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this so bad. Like, but you know, I was terrified. It's terrifying to be up there in front of people and not do well and have people be like, who is this asshole? Like, who told this person they were funny?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Things that I do and I say when I see other comedians. When I'm like, who told this person they were funny? That's always my go-to. So that's like, I just was like, Kate, just get over it. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. You got to get over your stage fright, get up there, see what happens, you know? So a friend of mine who's been doing comedy for years, he started doing comedy shows in the restaurant where I worked because I was waitressing when I was working at the pet supply store. I was also a waitress. So he started doing shows there. And I got to know him and I was like, dude, I'm dying to do this. I want to do this so bad. And he's like, well, you know, you got to write 5 minutes and you have to start hitting open mics like a maniac, like, and working it out. You got to get over your stage fright. And so I started doing it.
Is there a lot of options in Jersey City for that, or do you have to go over to New York and
you have to go to New York, really.
Okay.
You really have to go. There are some options in Jersey City, but there's not a lot of them. And like any other industry, it's very cliquey. So like you have the person in charge and their 5 best friends, and that's who is always going to just be in the same shows over and over and over again. So you got to try to get in there somehow, but it's a very difficult industry. You're dealing with a lot of quirky people, you know, like the comedy is, you know, full of quirk balls, you know, people who look at things differently and act differently. And you trying to deal with them on a professional level is sometimes challenging. Or just trying to get them to like you. You know, a lot of comedians hate everybody and everything. And here I come rolling in. And there are also a lot of dudes in their early 30s, late 20s, early 20s. Yeah. And here comes 46-year-old me. Like, I want to play too. And a lot of them are like, no.
So how
funny you are. Yeah.
How do you deal with the hecklers then?
Well, I personally pretend I don't hear them.
Oh, okay.
I just plow through.
Yeah.
But like, I wish I could be like one of these guys. Like, oh my God, this one friend of mine, if you heckle him when he's on stage, he'll ruin you'll never look at yourself in the mirror the same way again. Like, he will take your self-esteem and put it in a fucking blender right there on the stage. Like, I wish that's a gift. Like, in order to just rip somebody apart from head to toe in front of 50 people right there on the spot, like off the top of your head, that's a gift that I wish I had. I can do that stuff a day later. Like, I'm that person that's like, why didn't I say that? I wish I said that. I wish I said this. So in order for you to be that person that can immediately be like, what monster did your mother fuck to get you or whatever? You know, like, you know, but I've got some friends who are like gods at that stuff. Like, they're amazing at it, but I can't do that. I can't do that. Or if I did, even if I was, I'd feel terrible the next day. I'd be trying to find this person on the internet so I could write them an apology email, which is something I have to get over. Apparently, I keep being told that. Like, Kate, you have to stop worrying about, if you're going to be a comedian, you have to stop worrying about people's feelings. And for me, that's one of the toughest things, because I do worry about people's feelings. I don't want to. I want to make people laugh. I don't want to make them feel bad about themselves.
I think probably the funniest put down I've ever heard, there's a comedian over here called Johnny Vegas. I don't know if you've heard of him, probably not.
The name is familiar.
Yeah, he does a lot of the sort of comedy panel shows and things like that now, but he started out in stand-up, and he's quite a big bloke, or he's actually lost quite a lot of weight over the last couple of years, but he was, you know, sort of quite fat, and if anyone's tried to heckle him, particularly a bloke, he used to say, do you know why I'm so fat? And the bloke would say, no. He said, because every time I fuck your mother, she gives me a biscuit. So
yeah, boom. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the good put downs that I've heard. So
Yeah, that is good.
So is it observational comedy?
For me, it kind of is. It's kind of me taking my little stories and trying to make them as short and as funny as possible. And because you only have like, for me, I'm a newbie, so I'm getting 5 to 10 minutes at the most up there, which is perfectly fine with me. I did my first 15-minute set the other day, and I was a little terrified throughout the whole thing, but it was on Zoom, which Zoom counts, but it also doesn't count. I get to hang my notes all behind my computer here, and I get to, like, the second I start feeling nervous, I just look around at my notes and everything's fine. But if I'm not prepared to do a 15 minutes.
Well, you could press the off button and prepare and just say that the Wi-Fi went down, I guess. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I did my first 15 minutes the other day, and it went well. But of course, I got to have all my notes around. So
sure.
But I am not at the level to do 15 minutes on a stage yet. But I have done 10, and that's, not so bad or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's difficult. There's one spot for a woman per every show. It's
really?
It's like 4 dudes, and you get the one token lady spot.
Wow.
And she normally has to be cute somehow. So it's hard. It's a hard fucking game to play.
So equality and diversity hasn't come to the comedy world yet then?
Well, it is creeping in. Like it is luckily creeping in. There's a lot of comedy, some new up and coming new young producers who are making sure that their shows are diverse, which is fantastic. I mean,
sure.
Everyone deserves a chance. If you're funny, you should get a chance.
Absolutely. Yeah. So who are your comedy heroes then?
Oh, I love Michelle Wolf.
Right.
She's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Tom What's-His-Face and his wife, Christina. Their names are, and I love Bill Burr.
Yeah.
I love Seinfeld. Sometimes
okay.
the huge guys are huge because they're fantastic. They're amazing, Yeah. Everyone loves to give the clean comics like a hard time, but they're fantastic. You know how hard it is to entertain people without swearing or talking about sex or dicks or like, that's really hard. I have to turn away a lot of shows where people are like, okay, can you do a clean set? I'm like, no. Have you heard my mouth? Like, no, I can't. But you know what? I better learn how to do a clean set because I'm losing opportunities because I have a toilet mouth.
So you're not doing any children's parties at the moment then?
No, but I am still trying to teach children pedestrian safety, which is my job, which I have to watch my mouth during that too.
And is there any comedy in that then that you're going to be taking into your show?
I have a whole huge bit on come on, people not being able to cross the street properly. It's comedy gold. Why is this my job? Why does my job even exist? You idiots.
You haven't killed anyone yet then?
Yeah. No, I haven't killed anybody yet, to my knowledge.
Tempting though, I'm sure.
Yeah. Have I almost killed somebody? I don't think so.
Right. On that note, I think we probably better bring an end to this conversation.
All right, yes.
Kayt, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for...
Yes, no problem. You are lovely, Andrew. It's been lovely to hang out with you and talk to you. And I hope I wasn't too disgusting and vulgar.
You were everything I hoped you would be.
Hey, what more can you want in life?
And maybe if I come over to the States sometime, I'll come and see one of your shows, and I definitely won't heckle you.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, don't heckle me.
So I don't want to hear I don't want to hear anything about you sleeping with my father and him giving you a biscuit. So
yeah, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that.
Kayt, you're a star. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care.
We'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Bye.